Okay, so from now on, you're never going to escape this. You're going to be Ms. Widget to me for the rest of my life, as Thomas is Mr. Mashup. So I just want you to know that from now on, it's Ms. Widget. But Thomas, actually, we were talking at lunch about caller ID 2.0, and I actually love this concept. I know you're developing this, it's not quite finished, but it's going to be delivered because you have somebody who's paid you to do this, presumably.
Well, I can actually attribute Crick and Ribbit in the audience who have actually done this. And so what happens is when the call comes in, it takes the information about who's calling you, and then does deep dives on your social networks, etc., to figure out who's calling. Now, in a very, I don't want to say shallow, but in a very consumer sense, you can do things like, okay, this person's calling in. I may not be able to identify who it is. I can do a dip into into my 411 and figure out who it is, or maybe I know who it is, and then as the phone's ringing, I can bring up his Facebook page and see what he did. From a consumer capitalistic sense, I can go, oh, this person's calling in. I tried to sell him something last week. Bring up his record, and as I'm talking to him, oh, please give me the credit report on this guy. Right? Now, this is important. You're trying to get commercial advantage here, and so it is a way of really taking what is one little kernel of truth in Angela Lansbury style and figuring out who did it. Right? So Ribbit actually has that today, and I think it's a forward feature. It's going to be a very common feature, going forward.
Yeah, so sure. Screen pops on steroids.
Oh yeah.
CTI on steroids.
Oh yeah,
I love this.
Absolutely. Well, the fact of the matter is, most people today, especially people in this room, by the fact that you're in this room, leave footprints in our lives. Every one of us can be Googled. Right. So the real questions aren't around can we do it, but the fact is that we can. How do we use it for advantage, for personal advantage, for happiness, for
this is one of those things that I immediately realized when we were talking about it will change my user experience of calling.
Yeah.
As I talked earlier about how I use various modes of calling, because I'm going to prefer to go and park myself in front of a screen because I'm going to sit there and build me this histogram. Who's calling me? What's the context? What do I know about them? What am I supposed to know about them? Did I call them? Did they call me? Is there a panel we're supposed to be on that you're calling me about? That kind of stuff is really valuable. I'll sit in front of my screen and not go to the phone if I can do that.
Yeah, I think I've been smacked for saying it before, and I've said it for years, so don't hate me. But I think the computer in and of itself makes a horrible phone. It's a sucky phone. It's not good because it doesn't have the right buttons and you can't talk at it, but it's a fantastic delivery device of data. If I want to know what happened and why it's happening, I can't use my phone usually because I'm talking on it. I'm not looking at it, and the computer can tell me that. So.
Well, that's why you and I carry two mobiles all the time.
The iPhone sandwich. They call it in London. They call
Charlene,
it the iPhone.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they got the BlackBerry and the iPhone. Right? They call it right.
Yeah,
the iPhone sandwich. You put them together. See.
Mm-hmm. Just to build on that point, the key thing though is you have to connect your phone to your PC so that when your phone rings, your PC pulls up wherever all the information there. And there's some really nice, interesting plugins into Outlook. One in particular I'm thinking about is called Zobni. It's inbox spelled backwards. That's how I can remember it. And the idea here is that it pulls up all the information about past emails, past, again, social networks, gives you context or profile, everything, all the notes about that person. You can do quick searches on whatever keywords you want. But what I really want is a full picture of that unified communication, whatever you want to call it, that full picture of my relationship with that person. On communications across not just in my inbox on my phone, but anywhere I may have even commented on that person's blog. And that's really hard. There are some content aggregators now, like FriendFeed, that are pulling a lot of those things together and centralizing your social life. But I think players like a Google out there, where they have for example, my email, they have my calendar, they have all my docs and spreadsheets. My entire life is on Google. They know a lot about me. And yet I trust them implicitly, and they can actually do me a great service by pulling all that information together for me too. Now with a phone on top of that and integration into the iPhone too, you can start seeing the real power of being able to have these tentacles into people's lives.
Yeah, so Thomas and I were talking about the iPhone and BlackBerry because he and I both, and some others actually, love our BlackBerries for reasons, which is part of the reason we carry the two devices. But if you can give me a big enough screen and start doing this screen pop on steroid thing, I'm probably going to lose all resistance.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, you've been doing, like, back in the old days, the CTI.
Sure.
Man, you are hip deep in that. Well, okay, this deep in it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that. I don't think we really have any new ideas. It seems sometimes in telecom we recycle the old ideas, give them new names, and sometimes that does the trick. One example is in the 90s, many of us were talking about unified messaging. I don't know who remembers unified messaging in the 90s. It was supposed to be huge. Wow, everyone remembers.
You want to call that one the year of the something?
That was, yeah, 1996 was the year of unified messaging, and we basically repackaged unified messaging and called it unified communications. Obviously, it's greater than unified messaging, but now more or less everybody comprehends that this was something that they need, and they need to connect their voicemail and their email. And same with CTI and caller ID 2.0, and you start to think of all the good old days of screen pops and things that you saw back in the 80s. Actually, screen pops were invented. And but I think it's interesting if you're looking to invent a product or if you're looking to develop something, it just shows you how important timing is.
Don't we know?
Well, you just have to have the right timing, the right funding, the right the right pockets, the pocket size, etc.
Yeah, because I think one of the keys is, it's both timing, but it's usability. It's getting it so it's so dumb. One thing like you mentioned, Gary, around sort of voicemail, and people don't access it, absolutely. But you've got this cool thing that's emerging called voice to text. So now it pops into your email. So it's now your voice messages on your email. And you can manage it in the same way you're managing all the other messages, just like you can get IM forwarding and all the rest of it. I think that particularly around the caller ID 2.0, one of the things that I'm seeing, like with the BT communicator, if you're using a Bluetooth headset, it's cool because you then got the data presentation and you're just using a standard calling environment. So again, I think it's one of those that you start to see it basically sort of working for a segment, because a lot of the stuff we're talking here isn't across basically like mobile communications. Everybody's got it. It's basically pervasive. It's down further on the long tail. It's stuff that may appeal to like 5, maybe 10% of the market. It's not something that's going to be like 80 to 100%.
I'll tell you what I really want, what I really would love to have, and we'll have it one day. I might be dead when we see it, but we're going to have it. It's persistent communications. Privacy aside, I want everything I've ever said, accessible to me, and searchable by me, and indexable by me. First of all, because I have a memory like my mother who has Alzheimer's. It's just not good. Like, I don't remember a thing when my wife asked me to go to the grocery store. I don't remember it. How much intelligence gets lost in an organization in the help desk because the person who answered the question the right way, it's lost. It's lost forever. This ephemeral thing called voice, it goes away. How much more efficient can we be in our own lives? How much more trusting can we be? How much work can we avoid by not writing things down anymore? Wouldn't that be a great day? Notebooks. What's a notebook? Really? A notebook is something that you use when you don't want to make any noise. That's what a notebook becomes. You don't want to make any noise, use a notebook. Otherwise, why would you use it? Because everything you would ever say would be recorded anyways. And maybe I'm just supremely lazy, and I am. And maybe I'm not really concerned about privacy, but I guess I really am. But wouldn't that be just so awesome? And the only reason we don't is because of technology, right?
Unless you're someone who's like below the age of 25, because I think for their own protection, nobody under the age of 25 can have that memory. We erase that stuff because you're going to get fired, right?
128-bit key. All right.
The reason we don't have
audience,
that,
because we're just playing up here. So yeah, Jim.
I think I want to ask, aside from the very popular ones like Facebook and MySpace, I'd like to hear what the 3 most interesting websites are for the panelists here. Something that we would find interesting if we weren't searching or looking for it. Only because you might have some favorite websites.
I'll throw out a couple. Just we're talking about this email to text or voicemail to text. There's a couple companies. There's Spinbox and Phone Tech. right? Spinvox and PhoneTag are the two companies. You basically sign up, and they have they actually have people in another country that'll transcribe the voicemails into emails and send them to you. It's a pretty good service. Makes life a lot easier for people, and I rarely listen to voicemails anymore. They're all emailed to me in text, and they're not perfect, but I get the gist of a message. So that's my two.